Alright, so what I need here is I need 6 of these strips cut to, they're going to be 1.5 inches wide, which is why I go with 1x2s. They're already ripped to dimensions. And I need 6 at 37 inches and 7 at 23 inches. Keep in mind if things aren't exactly, I'm not going to be super precise when I cut these, because at the end I'll come back and square off the edges of the flags anyway. Remove, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, maybe up to an inch, just to square off the edges. So at this stage, 37 and 23. Okay, I am just putting a little texture on my stripes. Again, this is totally optional. I am using a Cool Wood, KO wood, that I bought off Amazon. You can see the review on that up here. We'll put the link here in the video. But man, this thing really, obviously it's 6 spinning sharp knives, so you got to be really careful. But I really like the work that it does and the texture that it leaves. So I'm going for a real rustic flag here. Again, you don't have to do this. This is purely optional. But give this disc cutter a review and shout out. Click the link and check that out, because I'm impressed with it so far. Alright, now that we've got all our stripes painted, again, I'm using black here where I typically would use red, but this can be, black and white American flag. You can put these together. There's a backer board. You'll see that in the next couple steps. There's a backer board that goes on the back, three backer boards that will hold this together. What I'd like to do, since it's soft pine, is use my air nailer. It's a 16 gauge, 2-inch brads is what I'm using. And I'll just put these on edge and then nail it on the edge to connect it. That gives me a good connection and holds it in place and gives me a good seam here. And then I'll flip it over and put those backer boards on where I can glue it. You can also glue this together, or you can glue it together and brad it. But I'm just going to use brads. That's what's worked for me the best in the past, and it's quick and easy. So let's get to it. Alright, there's the beginning of my flag. I like doing it that way because I can keep this front edge as flush, or I can manipulate that however I can. These boards are warped and twisted and everything like that. But again, keep in mind we're going to come back and cut this edge square and cut this edge square. But let's move on to putting the backer boards on here and making this a little more secure. Okay, I use 3 backer boards here. You can use 4, but you should have some scrap left over from the 5 pieces that you cut earlier to make these stripes. So we just got to cut these to length, and then I'll use 1-inch brads, 18 gauge 1-inch brads with some glue to glue these on. Now we're going to place these one on each edge, and then one that straddles where the union is, and that gives us some support to attach the union to the flag. Let's get to it. A note here, if you would, sometimes these brads will deflect and pop out. The best way to do that is just take pliers and bend them back and forth and break them off. That's as close as you can get versus cutting them. And then either pound them in, or sometimes I'll paint them and you'll never see them. But we're in pretty good shape at this stage. We'll trim this square, trim this edge square, trim this edge square, and then we'll start working on our union. Now that I've got the union painted, just a tip here, when I put this in here and I cut this to the right size on my flag, I always like to put a little arrow or mark this somehow so it's oriented 100%. In this stage, what I'm going to do is just start marking out the templates for the flag. You can get this template on Amazon and other places too. I'll include the link down below. But I'm going to mark this so I can put my stars on. I'll glue those stars on and air nail them. You'll see me do that. Also on my stars, they're 3D wooden stars. I get them from Banks CNC. However, there's a ton of places you can get them. They're 1 1/4 inch stars for this size flag to be proportional. And like I said, I'll glue and tack these on with a 23 gauge pin nail. And then I'll come back and paint over top of them to cover up that pin nail, make sure they're secured and they look good. Pin nailer with me, and I didn't want to use my 18 gauge, so I'm just going to glue these on. I think they'll be fine. I usually glue them and pin nail them, but we'll just be a little gentle on them. I applied a little more glue. Should be in good shape. So I'm going to put some weight on this just to help these glue up a little better and dry, and let them dry up, and then I'll attach the union to the flag and we'll go to the next step. Alright, now that the union is attached, you can kind of see what this is going to look like. And in fact, this flag could be done at this stage other than poly and sign it and put some hangers on the back. Although I like to frame it, so I've framed it with 1-bys in the past, 1 inch 1-bys, and painted them black. In this case, I would do a different color, brown, green, white, red, whatever you want it to do. But I really like using this bark scraps that I have laying around. I get this from a local lumber mill. It's just scrap wood, and the bark adds, especially on this flag from a rustic standpoint. So that's the next step here. If you're going to frame it, let's frame it. Otherwise, let's start putting poly on it. But in this next step, I'm going to be framing it with these bark strips. Okay, you see I've got this frame now. I typically do a 45-degree angle, 90-degree angle on the corners. However, just changing it up here and putting straight corners on this just to make it look a little more rustic and a little more old-fashioned. Now we're going to put some polyurethane on this. Okay, I'm going to use some polyacrylic. It's a water-based polyurethane. It is in satin from Minwax. Again, I usually use an indoor-outdoor Minwax urethane for these, but I've got a little bit of this left over. I'm in a little bit of a hurry. This dries really quick, and I like the idea that satin might be a little better look on this type of flag than gloss.